Okay. All right. So, Ms. Suzanne, can you talk to us a little bit about what brought you in and how you found us and give little caption, synopsis about how things have evolved. I'll give you some props and stuff along the way. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's
It's a long story.
It's a long story.
A long story. A long story that culminated in multiple doctors, multiple diagnoses,
Okay.
multiple medications that treated the symptoms but didn't get to the root cause of what was going on.
Mhm.
Everything from gastrointestinal distress to rheumatoid arthritis,
Okay.
diagnosis, high blood pressure, headaches, multiple headaches, neck and back pain,
Wow.
pain, I don't know how to say it, pain just to walk to the mailbox. Um, Before that, I had run engineering groups. I had opened my own business and ended up having to close it because of the pain and the headaches and just being generally sick. So over the years, I took the medicines. I did,
What kind of medicine are you taking?
oh gosh, blood pressure medication. I've tried everything for rheumatoid arthritis. What's it, sulfus? I
Oh.
can't even pronounce it. Methotrexate,
That's uh-huh.
which was a train wreck in itself.
Oh.
And I think that's about the time that I decided that if this is how my life was going for those kind of treatments, that I did not want to continue on that path. At that point, I have a friend in the community whose father had come to you and was having knee problems and did stem cell injections, I believe is what he had done.
Oh.
My husband actually helped him bale hay at that point in time, and he was back up and down the tractors. And he's the same age generally as my father was. So based on that, seeing that, it was, well, maybe this is something that could help me.
Okay.
So you came recommended from a friend of ours that he had some good results. And I still remember putting together, I'm an engineer, put together a spreadsheet of symptoms, doctors, medications, all the things, testing that I've done, multiple CAT scans, MRIs, all these things, trying to figure out where the pain was coming from. Finding pain in my rib cage, stomach, feeling like my insides want to fall out, all these weird symptoms that had no definitive diagnosis.
Okay.
So I still remember you looking at my spreadsheet and clicking off inflammation, 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 inflammation for every one of those symptoms, from the high blood pressure all the way down. So it's like I said, a long road to get there. Took me longer than I probably should have to have gone another path. Continued, like I said, continued from one doctor to the next. And after that many doctors looking and nobody had an answer. And the symptoms.
Consultants and specialists did you see?
At one point, I probably had 4 or 5 plus testing doctors, plus everything from sleep apnea diagnosis that I couldn't use the CPAP. I was swallowing air. I mean, all those symptoms, even a swallowing problem where I was choking on food. I just didn't need to have testing done. They found the problem. They put me through swallow therapy, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've learned since then, how to say, it still hangs. I've learned to cope, but I find it's less now than it was a year ago. So, that's an inflammation thing in my throat or what, but over time that has improved. I'm still not 100% on any of those aspects. But
So how long did you be?
I started last September.
September.
September. So it's been a year and 2 months, I guess. Right, a year and 2 months.
Okay. And so
and that's been some ups and downs with hormones balancing.
Yes,
it has. So, but in that course of time, I've come off of all the rheumatoid arthritis meds.
All of them?
All of them. All of them.
All of them.
All of them. I'm still being followed by a rheumatologist. But my last visit, I was down to just the, can't remember what it was. Hydroxychloroquine.
Okay.
Was the last medicine I was on, and it started easing off of it. But I still get blood work sent over to her, and I go in every 6 months to a year to check, just to make sure that I'm not having relapses or anything.
Okay.
Still have some
You would
pain.
know that,
I would
however.
know that, yeah, but I still have some pain, ongoing pain. I find it's worse with activity. It's worse the more I do. Like this last week, I'm taking care of my father who's been in surgery. So all the movement, pulling, putting on socks, all those weird things that you don't think about, you don't do on a regular basis.
Mhm.
I could feel it in my hands, my joints, my back. But
So you have some residual, but at the same time, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate them at the beginning before we started and now.
oh, at the beginning, probably a 9.
Okay.
I had trouble just walking to the mailbox. 150 foot to the mailbox and back was a miserable feeling. I did it. Before I started coming to you, we had installed a pool, started a little bit exercise in the pool, stretching, trying to get some relief, hot tub, tried all those things to help ease the stiffness in the joints. Now I'd say on a bad day, probably a 4.
On
So
that day, probably a 4.
probably a 4.
And on the majority?
Probably a 2 or 3.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a big difference, but
So, let's see. So, so when you started, you were 9, and now you're majority days 2 or 3.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's a
Yeah.
great result.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, from the perspective of just your sense of well-being, your obviously the disability, the ability to only go to the mailboxes and activity level compromise your ability to do a lot of other things.
To work, to do anything, even family events, working, we on a farm. I mean, I wasn't going out at all. Even just going out of the house was an act of Congress. So yeah, I mean, at that point, I probably should have been on disability and put, those kind of things. But as of now, I'm going to the gym. Got a bicycle at home, going back out on the farm, able to lift and care for my father. Can I do it for an 8-hour day? I would still say no. If I had to be on my feet all day, I don't know if I could be there. But considering like this week, I've had very little sleep and been busy. I'm still, as I say, upright and vertical. So it's a big improvement from where I was.
Okay. You seem to sign up for a lot.
Um, Sometimes involuntarily, but a lot of times voluntarily. Personality, I've always been a doer and helper, giver.
Okay.
Sometimes to my own detriment, but yeah, that's been my personality forever.
Your choices, right?
Choices, yeah. I've learned to not volunteer so quickly, especially having been sick for the last 10 years. I learned that I don't
So this entire
volunteer.
process has evolved over a 10-year period.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the downward spiral was about the first. I mean, by 2 years into being starting to feel sick and closing our business, I spent 9 months basically in bed. I didn't go to the grocery store. I didn't go anywhere. So I mean, it would it would get bad and it would heal up some, and then I'd get feeling better, but never back to normal.
So, but
Not to the person I was before. I was working 16-hour days, traveling every other week.
so how old were you when this started?
When I started,
The process started?
so that would put me right at 40, just below 40.
So, but I just.
But it started before that, and that's the interesting thing. I believe it was a hormonal thing before that. I've had endometriosis since I was young. I've
Okay.
had appendectomies, appendectomy, gallbladder removal. So endometrial, I've
So
had
you
a full
think
history of
these
doing
things
that.
are also related to
I think
the
they are,
entire process?
but no doctor would ever even look at it as a relation between the two, or between all those things.
Oh,
I mean, I was like, oh, you had a fatty liver, you got no gallbladder, you had a hysterectomy. All those things culminated in, I think, a health crash.
mhm.
And that's where I was for the last 10 years. From doctor to doctor, medicine to medicine. I mean, everything from nerve pain medications for my legs, ultrasounds to make sure there's no blockages, because couldn't find a definitive source of what was going on. with the pain.
Hmm. Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, not for you,
Not
but
for me.
for you.
So,
Quite different. So I do want to bring up a recent trip of yours, because I think that from going from being bedridden, having this entire process go on to your recent vacation. Why don't you tell me just a little bit? I think that would be a good
example?
yeah, good example.
Yeah, I was hoping that vacation would be a little longer because I wanted it to push my limit, I guess, for that vacation. So we recently took a trip to Florida. I had planned for it to be about a 2 week trip. That got cut short because my father ended up having surgery. So we decided to move our trip up. So in 2 days, I rescheduled the vacation and went to Orlando. We hit Universal the first day we were there. And towards the end of the day, I did well for the most part. A little bit of heat, a little bit of food I may not have supposed to have had.
What this was
And
during what month?
October,
Okay.
this October. And I hit 16,000 steps in the park. So through the day, I had a little bit of digestive discomfort based on maybe a little bit of butterbeer and
A nutritional
excursion, yes. So between the heat and the butterbeer, I think that set me off, but still stayed through it, and which I would not have been able to recover that fast in the past, but still put in 16,000 steps in the park.
So from 150 feet to what, 4 miles, 5 miles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was looking forward to the longer week. We got run out with the hurricane, so I didn't get to experience the whole week of busy.
Right.
Yeah. So, but based on that day, I'm like, I think heading in the right direction. Still don't have the energy that I had before I had this downturn. And that's, of course, I'd like to get there, but I don't know if that's.
So tell me, for the mind-body component that I always go back to the successful health image. I always talk about for patients at the very beginning. That successful health image, your initial one, I suspect, has changed from the one you put out initially to what you might conceptualize now as your successful health image. Would it not?
I would think so, yeah.
So, what were you looking at the very beginning?
At the very beginning, I was just looking at being able to have nieces and nephews, to run with them, to take them on excursions, to take them on vacations, to be able to spend my day without being exhausted and have to take a nap every day. So it's sounds like a minor success there, but those things based on the last 10 years were a huge difference.
Okay.
Now I look at it as to be able to go to Orlando for a week and hit a theme park every day at 16,000 steps. To be able to run and chase my great nieces and nephews and to take them on those excursions without being fatigued and sick. To be able to take care of my father without crashing and burning.
Your evolution is amazing. Just in a year, I think this is just.
I would agree with that.
The success you've had. So, in the personalized program and everything that you've been doing, what components do you think have had the greatest impact and have helped you most? We've done a lot.
We've done a lot. I think probably the thing that was probably missed by everyone was the hypothyroidism. I think that was probably the building block, I guess. And
okay.
When you said that, it kind of triggered I know enough of my biology that it triggers all the other hormone issues. And it or aggravates them. I'm not sure how you want to word that, but yeah, so that it triggers them and it's kind of that building block to start with. And I think that was kind of the first thing that caught my attention was, okay, I'm not crazy. There's something going on here. Something legitimate, something measurable, because there hadn't been. I'd always been vitamin D deficient, and estradiol or estrogen was always low, which with having a hysterectomy at 29 didn't surprise me. So over time.
So a lot of that, and a lot of these symptoms of yours and the symptomatology and the information actually kind of date back to that time, I suspect, right? I'm just putting that out there, but.
A lot of symptoms back to the point I was 16.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of it started.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, I even suffered through college and even working. I mean, even being able to work the hours I was working, and but my personal life suffered after those hours. I was done at the end of the day, and there wasn't a whole lot left to give.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. So, so, so the combination of metabolics and hormones and that is important. I mean,
I think diet has been a big aspect too.
okay.
I'm nowhere near as strict as I should be. Not as strict as I was when I started.
Mhm.
But I can definitely tell when I've introduced something that doesn't belong there. And butterbeer, yes, butterbeer. So yeah, but I can tell. I can feel it. I've cut back sugar. I've kind of become that person with my family of um, to cut back. My sister has cut back on hers after our conversations,
Really?
and she's dropped 30 pounds in the last few months just by cutting back carbs and sugars and doing she's doing intermediate fasting as well. But just conversations about health and getting there. And I'm bad now about the young nieces that I have and even people like me. I was like, get healthy while you're young. Because I worked, I put my body through the ringer and I wasn't healthy at the time and I wasn't getting any healthier. So getting there, but
So you're kind of you become kind of the mentor for your family too.
trying.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So with respect to the mind body portion of that, any thoughts about how that has or has not had impact?
I guess the biggest impact for me was that sacrifice,
Or sacrifice?
a lot of sacrifice. That it was hard. I owned a bakery. Our travels revolved around there was stops at, where who had the best bread, let's test bakery items and everything like that. Because we were running a bakery. And so that was a love of mine. I grew up baking my grandmother's, my mother, it was a love of mine. And now to have to turn around and go, it's a no-go was a hard sacrifice.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. Yeah. I owned a bakery. Wow. So you want to talk about total opposite rounds? Yeah. And I haven't got the energy yet to be able to take the knowledge and the ingredients that are healthier to be able to start turning those back into something delicious. Because I don't have that energy yet. But that's my goal is to is there a way to turn that into something that reminds you of
that's in the image.
In the image, yeah.
New image. I love it.
Yeah. Because so many people, yeah. And there's products out there, but when you start reading the labels, there's still so much. I'm not a huge fan of almond flour. It's gritty. It's there's got to be a better version of being able to get the low carb, low sugar treats out there. Because everybody needs a treat so often.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in us since we were how young.
Yeah. That's part of the challenge for all of us.
It is. It is. That sacrifice. That's probably the biggest part that's but the reward has been there. So it goes back to that. What's it worth to you?
So at the end of the day, thinking about what drew you in, what you might say to somebody who thinking about looking into kind of integrative and regenerative medicine, because you used a fair amount of regenerative medicine also to get you back to work.
Right.
I think that's helped significantly.
It has the stem cells in my back and in my hip and I don't know what all you want to call it, but has given me, I guess, more strength and rigidity. I feel stronger in my back, and able to do more stuff than I was. No, I would highly recommend they check into it. I've been a big advocate for speaking up for yourself. If the doctor's not, and I've done it for years, I've changed doctors. If a doctor's not giving you results, move on, ask questions
The
for yourself.
medical mastermind, that's chapter 3, right?
There you go. But yeah, but to be your own advocate, to ask those questions, to push the limit, to not settle for the same old, same old. If you're not feeling good after 3 months or 6 months on a medication, to question it because it's may or may not get better. So to be your own advocate.
Get that team together that helps you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Get your medical team together and find somebody who listens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So any other big things you'd like to bring up? Or?
I don't think so.
I mean, you've done great so far, right? And in my mind, I think we had further achievements to accomplish.
I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. I'm not where I want to be.
Cool.
So we're moving forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for these comments for sure. So now tell me about moving on to how you're feeling more recently.
Yeah, kill that.
We need to.
Can we kill that?
Do you want to?
The recording? Yes.
Okay, kill the recording.
Well,